Hello, my name is ScotsThinker-Red, and welcome to my film analysis of this brilliant masterpiece of an animated film called The Red Turtle. The Red Turtle was made by a Dutch animator named Michael van der Wit, who previously made two animated shorts, the award-winning Father and Daughter and the abstract depiction of tea called The Aroma of Tea. This film was also co-created by one of my favourite animation studios of all time, Studio Ghibli, or Ghibli. Is it Ghibli or Ghibli? Well, it's Ghibli! And you can definitely see the mixture of European and Japanese influences on this film, but we'll get to that later. What you all need to know by now is that this film is awesome, and I wouldn't be surprised if many of you viewers have heard of this film, so I just thought I'd spread the word and analyse this film to show you why it's amazing. So I'm going to be analysing this whole film, and there probably won't be much spoilers for the first act, because what you see is pretty much what you get. But after the first act, there's a few little surprises and twists and turns in which I would recommend going to see the film first before seeing this analysis. I'd highly recommend getting this film. You can easily get it off of Amazon. Just buy it. It would be about, what, £9 or so? I'd highly recommend getting this before watching this analysis. With that said, let's go watch a masterpiece. That didn't mean for that to happen. I meant to put it in. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Much better. This film won awards, and even won an award at a French film festival. That should be good enough for your standards to go see it. And further proof that animation can make for great film material. This movie will touch on some deep subjects such as the cycles of life, human psychology, and our relationship with nature, but we'll get more onto that as the analysis goes on. The film begins with a man being shipwrecked, being hurled left and right by the stormy ocean, and he makes refuge on a small boat until he's washed up on the shores of a small island. He then goes around exploring the island to get used to his new environment in which he's going to survive in for the next hour and a half of this movie. He starts looking around, and he sees that the island has got a big bamboo forest with avocados, some fresh water pools, a big rocky hill, and a big beach. And the island is inhabited by several cute white crabs, which should entertain younger audiences, some seals, and some turtles, and some insects. Oh, and some birds, presumably. I don't know, they're just in the background most of the time. Oh wait, actually that's not true. The seagull takes a crab at one point. I'm getting off topic! As this first bit of the film goes on, you'll notice one of the many magical touches to this film. This film has no dialogue whatsoever. Now, at first, most of you would be thinking, no dialogue? And the fact that it's slow-paced might turn you off, because you might find it boring, being slow-paced and having no dialogue. Well, actually no. The film finds clever ways for you to care about this character enough that you never get bored. How does the film do this? Without any dialogue? Well, first of all, visual storytelling. It doesn't say anything to the audience. The visuals should tell the story in itself. Second of all, they keep the goals simple so that we can relate to this man. He's washed up on the shore, and seeing how he doesn't talk, we can easily put ourselves in his shoes. Well, not that he has any shoes, but you know what I mean. The film also has a way of introducing certain goals for the character, whether it be for whether he's in a moment, i.e. right now, when he's trying to explore the island in order to know how to survive in it, or through various dreams, which again we'll get to later. The film shows you just enough details of one thing and to then move on to another thing. It never takes too long for you to spend a moment on one thing, so that way the audience doesn't get bored, i.e. the man washes up on the beach. He looks around on the beach. Moving on to the next thing, he goes exploring on the beach. And next, he goes exploring in the forest. And then he goes up on the hill. And then he cries, "Hey!" Oh yeah, that's another thing. Aside from the view, "Hey!" supplies! The film has no dialogue, and the island is completely uninhabited. And then he goes to get avocados. And then there's an intense sequence which we'll get to right now. So the man goes exploring on the rocky bits. He slides down this hole in which he can't get out of. The walls are too slippy, too steep, and too smooth and rocky to climb up. And the only way to get back to the surface is to go even deeper into the water and swim through this little tunnel. And the man struggles for survival, but he manages to squeeze through sheer determination. It's a rather intense sequence, and it gets the audience to care for this man a bit more, seeing how this survival element is put into it. So after surviving for quite a bit, the man then has a dream. And this dream should visually introduce the concept of the man wanting to get out of the island and presumably getting back into society. In this beautifully monochromatic night setting, he dreams that he wakes up and sees a huge bridge made of bamboo sticks, already made for him. He runs along, goes woo, and starts floating in the air. But then he wakes up and realizes that he's still stuck on the island. And thus he has a new goal, to get out of the island. He makes a raft made out of bamboo tree sticks. And he gets himself some avocado supplies to eat, and then he leaves the island, and that should make for quite a short film. Wasn't in the island for such a long time. What was that? As it turns out, his raft gets destroyed by some kind of unseen force. He looks underwater, but he has no idea what it is. So, he builds a second raft. And that gets easily destroyed as the first one as well. So after he builds the second one, the man starts doping and moping around. And he takes a few breaks every now and then. He just lies in the forest, letting the bugs crawl on him as he feels quite sad that he could possibly never leave this island. The man doesn't accept the island for a potential good home that it is. He just sees it as something that he should avoid. Because I can't really blame him. I'd probably want to get home eventually too. But this island does have the basic needs. It does provide food, water, shelter, and some nice weather when it allows it. But the man just doesn't see that yet. He doesn't accept it. And so there's this one scene where he starts going crazy and hallucinates a bunch of classical music players, which could indicate the historic period he's from. He hallucinates these violin players, but of course they're imaginary, and he starts feeling very sad and just cries out loud. You see, he misses companionship. He longs to be somewhere where he can call home. He wants to go exploring, but this unknown force has stopped him from achieving his goals. So after that bit of emotional trauma, there are some other scenes that I'd quite like to mention about this man. And first of all, we can relate to him even more because of how he responds to other things. Like, he takes time to relax and just breathe and think things through. And he vomits after having dealt with cutting up a sealskin. Little details like that make us, as an audience, relate to this man a bit more. And a few other things I'd like to say, whilst I'm at it, about this film and its style, is that you'll notice that it has a mixture of the European animation style and Japanese. You can definitely see the Studio Ghibli side of things, the way it's paced, the sort of slow-paced, mundane sort of storytelling style. And you can definitely see the European aspect through the character designs, especially the fact that these characters look very much like they were designed by Hergé, like in the Tintin comics. The character design adds to the element of this film of simple but beautifully detailed. This film is in fact very minimal, and it just gives you enough for you to tell a beautiful story about the cycle of life. Plus, the nature aspect helps that it was made by Studio Ghibli, an animation company known to touch on nature quite a few times. So the man builds another raft, and he's finally going to leave. And he's built a really big raft, and he's armed himself to face off against this unknown force. He sails out into the sea, and then, BAM! He feels the bump again. And this time, the threat reveals itself as a huge red turtle. And despite destroying its raft again, the turtle looks at this man in a non-threatening manner, once again leaving the man no choice but to swim back to the island. And of course, this leaves the man very, very angry. So angry, in fact, that when he sees the red turtle coming up to the shore, he sees it as an opportunity to attack the red turtle in a slightly disturbing scene in which he beats it with a bamboo stick, flips it upside down so that it cannot move, jumps up and down the shell and yells at it. And then he finally has the opportunity to finally escape from this island. So, now that that pesky red turtle is out of the way, I can build my big raft, he presumably thinks. But over time, as he builds this raft, he starts to feel guilty for what he did to the turtle. Now, I'm pretty sure we've all seen this type of concept done before with the survival aspect, maybe be it in Robinson Crusoe or Swiss Family Robinson. What is it with Robinsons and desert islands? But this particular story about a man being washed on a desert island focuses more on human psychology, because as soon as the man starts building the raft, he starts feeling very guilty about the turtle, be it through his emotional trauma or his longing for companionship. I suppose its minimal story does leave it up to the audience's interpretation, but either way, the man starts feeling very guilty for what he did to the turtle. He starts putting fresh water on the turtle's head, and even sleeps with the turtle at one point. And his newfound, how did you describe it? Bond, that's it. Which kind of further emphasizes the bond between him and nature, when you think about it. This newfound bond between the man and the turtle leads the man to have another dream. This time he dreams that the turtle is floating up to the heavens, and the man can't do anything to stop it, no matter how hard he tries. And this bond will be further emphasized, because when he wakes up, he sees that he's awakened by the sound of the red turtle's shell cracking. He wakes up, looks at it slightly surprised, and then just looks out into the shore. When he looks back, he is downright astonished and surprised again to see, and spoiler alert by the way, this is the point where I would want to tell you to go see the movie. Seriously, it's a masterpiece. I do not want to spoil this for you, so from this point onwards, I'm just going to assume that you've seen the film. So either way, the man wakes up and is astonished to see that the red turtle has turned into a human woman. The man has been longing for companionship, and now God and nature have provided him with a companion in the form of a red turtle lady. Yeah, I'm just going to call her Red Turtle Lady, because I guess that's no other appropriate name would be better for that lady. This longing for a companion in his life drives the man to build a shelter from her from the baking hot sun. And after a few other days or moments of care for the woman comes to and manages to get up. Later on in the film, the woman can be seen getting rid of her shell and depositing it back into the ocean, putting it back into the cycle of life. And who knows what happens to that shell, whether it be disintegrated into sea plants or maybe discovered by some fishermen and just go, never seen that red turtle shell before. Either way, she puts it away, indicating that she's going to stay in the island. And now the man has the golden opportunity to finally leave. There's no red turtle stopping him, and he's going to build that raft. But despite the fact that there's nothing going to stop him from leaving the island, he chooses to stay. He has the golden opportunity to leave this island, and yet he doesn't leave. He decides to stay. His entire goal throughout the first act was to escape the island and get back to his society, where he can have companionship, where he can live his life, presumably. And yet, he decides to stay. I think the reason that the Red Turtle Lady, I'm just going to keep referring to her as that, the reason that the Red Turtle Lady kept destroying his raft was because that she knew that this man was missing something deep down inside. She knew that this man was longing for something, longing for some kind of need in life. He wants something, but the Red Turtle Lady is trying to provide what he needs rather than what he wants. Because the island already provides food and water and all the essentials to survive, but the man wants something more. And this comes up across as somewhat immature for the man, seeing how he beats up the red turtle for stopping him. But he finally realizes that the island can provide just what he needs, and then he just accepts his fate, and accepts the companionship. And later on, during a scene when the Red Turtle Lady shares some muscles with the man reflects on the time he hurt the Red Turtle, and he feels really guilty, but the Red Turtle Lady forgives him. And then the two become romantically involved, and they share their love to each other in the night. And let me tell you, these moments of big emotions in this film are highly emphasized and beautifully shown, not through the brilliant animation, which can be quite symbolic at times, and the music doesn't really hurt much either. So we cut to months later. Oh, look! Look! They have a baby now! Oh! No wonder the man wanted to say he was very happy with his family. What who are you? Why are you giving me that dirty look at... Oh, I get it. Yes, the man, technically speaking, had sex with a turtle. He had sex with a turtle! She was in human form! Anyway, so the man decides to raise a family. And let me tell you, that little boy is so cute. He just always puts a smile on my face when that scene comes on. So by now it's very clear that the man has accepted his relationship with nature and is all the more happier for it. Especially with the fact that he now has 2 companions as a family. And now we shift our perspective from the man to the boy's perspective. This boy has a more naive and optimistic view on his relationship to nature. His dad teaches him the history of humans, presumably, and his mother teaches him the way of nature and turtles. At one point, the boy sees a turtle himself. Upon attempting to approach said turtle, he falls into the same rocky hole that his father fell in during the first act of the movie. And now this will provide the first stage of the boy growing up. This will be the first thing he ever did without the help of his parents. Okay, well, he does have some help from his parents. His mother gives him a signal to do that, to swim under and swim through the hole. So the boy manages to swim down and easily fit through that hole this time. When you look at it from a symbolic aspect, you could say that, that the boy had an easier a way of getting used to nature, whereas his father didn't. The boy goes up and he sees a turtle, and they circle around each other and presumably become best friends. He seems to have a lot of fun with the turtle, because as the boy goes up and has fun with his dad, he goes up to a fairly strong young man, and he goes swimming with the turtles. Well, with animation this grand, and the music being especially grand, I can see why he would like to go swimming with the turtles. All is well, but unfortunately the happiness is not to last for long. Because then the tide goes way in, the fish starts dying. Everything starts cloudy, the birds start going haywire. And soon a tsunami comes along to destroy the island. The island is nearly completely destroyed with the family on it. And we look from the boy's perspective as he desperately struggles to find his mum and dad. And once again, the film finds another way for you to care for these characters. He manages to find his mum, heavily injured, but still fine nonetheless. And then comes another act of independence from this boy, as he once again goes swimming with the turtles and goes far, far out to the horizon in order to find his dad. And he manages to save his dad's life just before he drowns. All with the help from those turtles. After successfully saving his father with the help of the turtles, his father and his son get back to the island. They reunite with the red turtle lady, and together, all of them make do with what they've got on the island, and they clean up the mess. They pile up all the dead bamboo trees and make a huge fire. And slowly but surely, they manage to restore balance and life, and so that their life will continue once again on the island as it was before the tsunami. After the events of the tsunami and cleaning up the island, the boy, now a young man, so I might as well just call him young man. The young man finds the bottle that he found as a young child and played with, He looks through it, balancing the water as if it were the horizon. And then he has an abstract dream in which a huge wave is frozen in time, but still liquid enough to swim through. He swims through it, and sees his family, happily walking along and waving back at him, before he looks to the horizon again. Now, in terms of visual storytelling, this is my favourite part of the movie, because this next sequence probably should have used dialogue in order to explain something that this boy is feeling. It would have needed some form of dialogue in order to communicate his desires during this sequence, but the way they tell the story in a visual way without any dialogue, it's just so brilliant! Ideally, during this sequence, the boy wants to go out to the island, and he has had a healthy relationship with nature, and now he just wants to go exploring in order to become his own person. He needs to become his own person, so that maybe he could have his own companion, his own adventures, and his own life that he can be happy with himself. I mean, I wouldn't want to be cooped up in the same place forever. Which, ironically enough, the father is currently doing. And his desire to go out there and to create his own life is perfectly captured just through those several sequences of him looking at the horizon through the bottle, and that dream of him seeing his parents and then looking to the horizon as if he wants to go out there. And the fact that he's been having some independent acts of him swimming in through the ocean with the turtles, especially during that tsunami sequence in which he had to sail way out to the sea in order to find his father. And then he comes to see his parents and tell them that he needs to leave to form his own life. And his parents, upset but understanding, let him go. Now, they would have needed at least some dialogue in order to tell us, but the boy just gives them this look, and the parents look at each other sad, and yet understanding. And you fully understand this because there's been several moments where he looked to the horizon, and they never tell you any of this, but it's very clear that the boy wants to go out and have his own life. And so by the time he gets to that bit with the parents, gives them that look, you know exactly what he's thinking. And that, to me, is visual storytelling at its best. No wonder it won an award in a French film festival. Heck, it was so close to winning an Oscar for Best Animated Feature during 2016, alongside Disney's Moana, Disney's Zootopia, Kubo and the Two Strings from Laiki Studio, another excellent film, and My Life as a Courgette. With all said and done, the boy leaves his parents watching him the whole way through the process of leaving the island in order to have his new life. Despite the fact that his son has just left, the man is still happy with his life on the island because he still has a companion. He still has what he needs. He still has that spiritual wholeness that he gets from his relationship with nature. The island gives us what we need, and no one leaves. Wait. And someone leaves. And this next sequence is very touching, and yeah, it's just downright beautiful, because the Red Turtle Lady really does love this man and wants to provide everything that she can for this man. She knew that if the man were to just simply sail away, the man would have just simply been unhappy, whether it be with politicians or his life. The man is happy as he is with a family and the memories of said family, and being on an island where he can live a life of peace and have a companion who will be there for him the whole way through, someone to love, someone to care for. The Red Turtle Lady even goes as far as to provide him with a baby, and during this sequence, grow old with him. The two of them go swimming together, they hug together, they sleep together, they eat together, they just live a good, peaceful life together. She grows old, and he grows old too. there's this one scene where you see the man, now grown old. You see him with that magnificent white beard of his and his white hair, looks down to the ocean to see the red turtle lady bathing, and he smiles down at her. I tell you, getting rid of that raft, best decision I ever made in my life. Because if the man did leave the island back a few scenes ago, if he had simply left, he probably would have died to the vast storms, or just simply would have been unhappy with his life with society, whether it be because of politicians, or economically, or maybe he doesn't have a life that is peaceful, or maybe just not altogether happy. But here, nature provides him all the essentials, and he has this beautiful relationship with the island. And something else I need to address about this film: the animation for this film is just gorgeous. The backgrounds have got this lovely watercolor palette to them, and the colors of green and blue just explode in this film. The monochromatic nights provide for some realistic night colors, as well as some long shadows. The film is beautifully, vibrantly colorful, and like I said before, the character designs are simple yet so beautiful to look at, and there's this Studio Ghibli touch to it that lets the audience just sink in this environment, making this film more of a meditation when you think about it. For you Studio Ghibli fans, you'll realize that there are lots of moments where the main character or another character will look around at nature, or just take some time to just stop and just breathe for a moment. You know, like that train scene in Spirited Away, or the bus stop scene in Totoro, or just any scene where a character is in a beautiful nature spot. They just take moments to breathe. The film does that several times, actually, and it really just allows you to just breathe in this beautiful, welcoming environment. It truly does elevate the film, and more films should take the time to just stop and let the audience breathe, like the way that Studio Ghibli films do. Anyway, back to the finale of the film. The man grows old together with the red turtle lady, they dance a wee bit, and they just simply love each other. And one night, the man peacefully passes away in his sleep. The red turtle realizes that the man is now passed away into the heavens. She mourns his death. And now, seeing how the red turtle lady has provided all that she could for him up until his death, she strokes his arm one last time before transforming back into a red turtle and swimming back out into the sea. And let me tell you, that ending, when I saw it in the cinema, it made me cry. And there's not many films that can let me do that, though there have been a few that had me blubbering like a baby, like The Return of the King, Les Miserables, Grave of the Fireflies, but I'm quite a tough person, to be honest. It takes a lot for a person like me to tear up hysterically, but this is one of those films that actually got me crying near the end, because it was so beautiful and so simple yet so beautiful. And this is why you should go see it. It's just such an amazing experience, especially when I saw it in the cinema. And now, with that said, now I'm going to talk about some theories and speculation. Seeing how this story is so minimal and that it's up to the audience's interpretation as to the full details of this story's lore, I'm going to delve into some potential theories that could elevate this film. So, when I saw this in the cinema, I came out and noticed a friend of mine named Dale. And I said, "Oh, hello, Dale." And I was pleased to hear that he was also a Studio Ghibli fan. See, we were seeing this film at Eden Court Theatre because of this French film festival that was going on at the time, and this film was one of the films that was being shown there. And then he and I discussed some potential theories, such as Dale came up with a particularly dark theory that the red turtle was actually some kind of siren and actually lured the man into having more babies, and then by the time he died, sailed out into the ocean to search for more prey. That's fairly dark. I mean, it's an interesting theory. I mean, it's up to people's interpretation. I respect that, but I told this to my mum, and she disagreed with that. And the reason that you disagree is because the red turtle does genuinely love the man and its family. The red turtle does genuinely care for this man's needs. And speaking of the man, you don't even know which historical period he's from. He could be from the past, the present, the future, any historic period. All we know is that he came up in a boat. Although, the fact that he hallucinates some classical musicians might give us an indication that he comes from a certain historic time period, but that's just my speculation from the details that this film has given us. And despite being made in Belgium, or France mainly, it was helped with some by the Japanese folks of Studio Ghibli, and the fact that it has no dialogue, it can appeal to a whole wide range of people. It could appeal to anyone from of any language. Anyone can relate to this man. Anyone can see the boy's needs to go out into the ocean. Anyone can see the red turtle lady's needs to satisfy this man. Anyone can admire the beautiful animation and the music that elevates these emotional moments. And something else interesting about the boy is that seeing how he's the son of a turtle lady and seeing how he's completely fascinated with turtles, wants to say that when he goes out into the ocean, that he himself could turn into a turtle at will. Now, who knows what the boy did out there? Maybe he meets new friends and shares his own stories. Maybe he spreads his healthy relationship with nature to the world and benefits whoever he meets for the better. Or maybe he just simply becomes a turtle and just lives out in the ocean for the rest of his days. Who knows? That's all up to audience speculation. I could go on and on and on all day about some of those beautiful shots of the birds flying through over the sky, or some of those baby turtles swimming through the sea. I could go on all day about the themes that this discusses, since this film has a lot to say despite the fact that it has no dialogue, but unfortunately this review will have to come to an end here. So, if you like what you see, please hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more reviews like this. I mean, chances are, by this point, no one even watched this channel except for myself. But, I'm thinking of doing some sort of film review series sometime soon. So, thank you for watching. This is Scots Wizard.